Hello and welcome to the Politics Show, which comes from Queen's University. With only 4 days until polling, it's our final election debate.
First of all, can I make plain that TUV is the only unionist party that walked the walk of unionist unity by staying out of all the marginal seats. Because I neither want to see Sinn Féin IRA in Parliament or in government. So we took that hard decision. As to how we're doing, very nicely, thank you, because I find that with the DUP mired in all sorts of scandals, with a leader who becomes enraged if anyone dares to question him, with all sorts of unexplained links with developers, and with the Ulster Unionist Party trapped in a failed marriage with the Tories, that more and more people, quite properly, are seeing in traditional unionist voice the alternative, the way forward to progress in this province, out of the quagmire of the misgovernment, malfunctioning Stormont, which has had 3 years to deliver and has delivered nothing.
Well,
and a party, of course, in TUV, which also is utterly untainted, not just by the failures of Stormont and the chaos brought to education, but untainted by the sleaze and scandal of the last Parliament.
Jim Allister, do you agree with Jerry Kelly on that point?
Well, I don't find myself agreeing with Jerry Kelly on anything, but whether or not there's a hung Parliament, is beyond our control. But if there is an opportunity, and there's a particular opportunity for unionists, because one of the shameful things that happened in the last Parliament was that, courtesy of DUP connivance in a secret deal with Sinn Féin, they agreed to sell the title deeds to the office of First Minister in this province, when in November 2006 they allowed to pass the legislation which changed the source of the First Ministership to the biggest party from the biggest tradition. Now is an opportunity to make that the price of the votes of every unionist in this Parliament, and I would challenge and offer to the other two unionist parties that they publicly commit that if there is the opportunity of a hung Parliament, they will make that the price of their vote, closing the door to an IRA Sinn Féin First Minister.
Okay, Jim Allister, picking up on the theme of the question, I mean, you've been in Europe. Surely you know the benefits of working together where politicians of different hues do cooperate.
Yes, certainly politicians who have a common cause can work together. But the very fact of the question, when are we going to see progress on issues like education, health, things that matter to people, the very fact it has to be asked after 3 years of devolution of those issues is confirmation in itself of how malfunctioning and failing the present regime at Stormont has been. And the reason for that, of course, is that the parties that are in government don't have to agree a platform about these issues before they get into government. Rather, we have this absurd system that everyone's in government. Indeed, on a par with North Korea, we have a situation where you can't vote a party out of government, can't have an opposition, and therefore it's no surprise that when you build that and build into it mutual vetoes, that you get the chaos and the shambles that we've had. And as long as that system remains unaltered and undemocratised, then we're going to have that fear. And education is the classic example where children and parents have been brought to the very depths of despair, where Ruan has been able to rampage through education, utterly unfettered by those who said they would fetter her, able to do what she likes and to ram her dogma of destruction down everyone's throat.
Jim Allister, is the TUV, does it have any young supporters? People see you as harking back to the past.
Well, no, we have one of the youngest candidates in Keith Harbinson and Megan Valley in this election. But I think there is a challenge to everyone, young and old. And the challenge I would throw out to anyone interested in democracy, that they should come on board to try and right the wrongs of the past, to try and right the wrongs of the present arrangements, which are the reason why it isn't delivering, as has already been referred to. And to do that, we must get the foundation right. And I can think of nothing that should inspire the idealistic more than the thought that it is a scandal that we are the only part of the United Kingdom, the only part of the Western democratic world, where you have a parliament where it is forbidden to have an official opposition, where it is forbidden for the citizen to vote a party out of government because of the iniquity of mandatory coalition. So I would invite everyone to join that democratic crusade to get rid of those two evils and to arrive at the situation where we have an assembly election in this province where no party's big enough to form a government on its own, so it's going to be a coalition, no problem with that. They sit down, all the parties, those that can agree what to do about health, about education, about roads, about housing. They form the government if it has the sufficient support in the Assembly.
Sure,
those who can't form the opposition, and then you check and balance it through the opposition, and at the next election you have the right to change your government, and you might just get the chance of getting something done about education, about housing and health, because they're agreed on it before they go into government.
Let's talk about coalitions in general. Voting reform could well be on the agenda after this election. Do you think it's coming, Jim Allister?
I don't know whether it's coming or not. It could, depending on the result of the election, but I don't think it should. I think the present system serves us well in terms of getting stable government in the United Kingdom, and that's very important. And I think also maintaining one member, one constituency secures that link and identity between the elector and the elected, and I think that's very important in Parliament.
Okay, I know that environmental campaigners aren't for nuclear power necessarily, but some are. Anybody on the panel a supporter of nuclear power? Sammy Wilson, Jim Allister? Jim Allister.
Well, I think it is the cleanest form of power. I hear much from Green campaigners about the need for clean energy. Well, I think that in nuclear energy you have one of the cleanest forms of energy. And
you'd be happy to support one in Northern Ireland?
I think wherever. I think it is something that the dynamics of it is that can cater for a very big area. And if a suitable location is found, I wouldn't be one of those tying myself to the rails to stop it. But I do think that this whole debate has largely got out of hand, and there has been a lot of hysteria about it. And of course it has been used as an excuse to impose all sorts of new taxation, and indeed, in consequence, to drive manufacturing industry out of the EU. A lot of this hysteria is driven by the EU, and we have imposed such severe restrictions on our manufacturing industry that many of them are finding it easier to move to the third world, where they can belch out whatever they like and then send us back the products they produce. And what are we gaining but the loss of jobs, where we're still buying the commodity?
Jim Allister, who are you closest to in terms of economic policy?
I want to see whoever will restore durable, workable devolution to Northern Ireland and remove the insults that you can't have an opposition and can't vote a party out of government, and remove the monstrous suggestion that Sinn Féin should be allowed to be put upon the Unionist majority as First Minister. So I will judge them on things like that, and I trust that every other Unionist, even those who conspired to make it so, will waken up to that and use the opportunities to attain that.